Hi, how are you?
Right, all good. You able
Okay,
to see me
yeah, I'm
right?
able to see you, but you are basically at 90 degrees to what you should be.
Okay, hold
Yeah,
on.
okay.
Is this okay now?
Yeah, now you are straight.
All good. All good. How are you?
How are you? Very good, very good. So, okay, let me just first introduce you to whosoever has joined in. I mean, I think there were more people and now they've kind of gone back and they're going to come back again. But let's start the session. So, today we have with us Mr. Parminder. I know him for quite some time now and we worked on a few projects as well. So, Parminder has ventured out to start his own firm and he's, been doing it for the last 10 years under the Buildscape Studios. Uh, and today we have with him, and our topic of the day is choosing the right facade and fenestration products. I mean, that's always the case with us because we are into fenestration. And Parminder has been very active in doing a lot of, I would say, residential projects and even some commercial projects. Residential, we have also been a part of some. And anything that, Parminder, you would like to say about you or your firm?
No, first I would like to, thank you for inviting me, and it is always great to meet with people who are, who are looking forward for excellence and looking forward for an extraordinary service to their customers. So it's great to be here, and it is like first of all, thank you for inviting, and yeah, that's it. And I could see some people there who are big fan Parminder ji. So Dhruv and Pranvi, both are architects, both are very good in what they do. So guys, thank you for joining in.
Okay, great. So let's start with the session. And so the first question for the day is that what is your approach towards facades and fenestration with respect to your projects?
Nitin, the approach, of course, it begins with the concept and the planning of the project, and it definitely starts with what is the concept that we are creating for the project. What is the kind of the project? What language are you going to build around the project, and that kind of defines what kind of fenestrations are we going to use. And and of course there are times when we do want the building to look in a certain way where the fenestrations are the first thing that, or maybe the facade of the building is something that we look at the first thing and then we come backwards. So it's both ways, but most of the time it is first conceptualizing the full space and looking at the exterior aesthetics of the building. What is the kind of look that we want to that drives the facade.
Okay, so my question here is that if I have to make it easier for people to understand whether it is inside out or outside in, as in you basically focus more on the planning and then go to the facade, or you come from facade backwards to planning. Why do I say that is because most of the customers are more concerned about how they look or how the building looks, right? And
Sure,
then they want to go back to it.
sure.
So what's your
See, we say, I mean, that's what I believe in, is that the way your building looks is your personality. It's
right?
your building that you stay in, or places that you live in are your reflections. So it definitely, like, people are really really concerned, and rather when people come to us for design, they do come up with various, already having an image in mind, and what are they looking for, what is the kind of facade that they want to look at. And what I've actually seen from my study from last many years of working, um, practicing myself, and of course working with various organizations, is that it definitely, when we are working on a project which is a residential project, which is owned by a single person, the facade is definitely like an outside inside approach as well. So it is, but when it comes to commercial buildings, when it comes to other social buildings or public buildings, then the approach definitely is outside inside. Then we kind of look at how everything works, because that building, the user of the building is somebody who's going to be who's not going to be an individual, but a lot
Hmm.
of people are going to come and walk in.
Correct.
So that you know, for whom are we really designing? For who are we serving? That drives the whole design process.
So basically, it's very subjective to the scope of work at hand. As in, yeah, you're right. If you have a retail store, I mean, no one would want to walk into it if they're not really finding it appealing from outside. That's a different
Exactly.
thing. That inside the experience may be great, but still you need to have some attraction for that particular building. Just like a person, I mean, you get drawn to people whom you find more kind of compatible with you once you talk to them, or for that matter, you look at them, etc., etc., and then you get into the details of it. So fully agreed. So I'll just kind of summarize what you said. So one thing you said was that you start with conceptualization and then planning part of it. And the second thing is that
Sure.
the inside outside depends upon the actual requirement of the customer, and for that matter, the actual requirement of the habitat that you are designing. If it's a retail store versus a
Exactly.
house, I mean, some person who's building a house may be very, very, kind of simple from outside and would want that, okay, I am more concerned about the interiors than the exteriors. I want exteriors to be very, very, simple. They should not be very extravagant. Why? Because the personality is such. And that
Yeah.
may continue inside as well. So I fully agree that at the end of the day, architecture is nothing but it's basically extrapolating the personality of the person or the particular, I would say, project at hand, maybe retail, commercial, institutional,
Sure.
residential. So great. So let's move on to the next question. Now, the next question always about, we would like you to give a recap, kind of. I mean, because most of the architects, we ask this question. So I normally call it a recap of what is it that, what are the factors one should be considering while choosing fenestration systems?
Then,
Yeah.
so for the first condition that we look at is the climate condition. We also look at wind pressure. So the current projects, if I give you some examples, we've done a farmhouse in Nainital, and the house is located in a way that the wind pressure is so high that, I mean, the house it's beautiful location. The clouds actually do come into your house, but we had to be very selective of what is the kind of uh, the strength that we're looking at. What are the technical specifications we have to look at? Because in the summers it's a very different climate, and in the winters it's totally different. So we had to, of course, work with various different people and come up with a solution that kind of served it. Also, given it the climate condition and the functionality of the building was such that it was not going to be used for a long time. So second factor was the functionality of the building, how it functions. We had many security, features in the. We had to use double glass DGU, and we had to do laminated glass at various places. Plus, it was, the whole language of the building was such that we wanted big windows. We wanted all the areas to be open. It was like a glass house. So that kind of derived how we came up with the solution for the fenestrations. And if I give you another example of a house that we're doing in Delhi, that has a very total different language. There are no specific, like there's no wind pressure we have to worry about. There, the whole approach was to look what goes with the concept of the facade. Like the whole facade is classical. We wanted to show, windows are big fat windows, look a bit bulky, goes with the whole concept of the facade. So that's how, we had sashes coming up. There were multiple things happening. So that kind of, yeah, that's how it works. So various factors that comes into play.
So basically, what we are looking at is probably the type of the building. I mean, let me put it in a different way. Let's say if it's a classical, you would want fat members. If it's more contemporary,
Sure.
you would want slim members. And this
Exactly.
takes care of the aesthetic aspect, and then you look at more of functionality in terms of structural load calculations, which are required for different, I would say, climatic conditions, and obviously so forth and so forth. As an example, the sun direction,
Direction.
the sun direction, ventilation, etc. So those are the common factors. So something that you've added here is that probably the contemporary, the classical look is one aspect, and then obviously it's good to hear that even architects have started promoting, I would say, wind load calculations as which are required, because very important for us for the very reason that many products in the market that are available are under design. Now they
Sure.
are under design. The customer is not aware of all these things. So in case the
Yeah.
architectural fraternity also kind of adds on, definitely customer gets more aware. Why? Because it's more important to have a safe installation than a large installation.
Yeah. And and climate also, just to add, sorry, just to add to that, we are also doing a project which is an interior project in Noida in Supernova. And the floor that we are working on is 41st and 46th second floor. I mean, the fenestrations are already there, which are done by Supernova, but the railings and the wind pressure is so extreme that we had to kind of do all the windows again.
So
And
is this
I mean, there.
was brought down recently?
Sorry, I couldn't. I had a
That was
lag. I couldn't hear.
so is Supernova not the same project which was brought down recently?
No, no, no. That's not the same project. Everybody asks the same thing. No, that's a different building. This is a different building.
Okay,
So.
okay. So okay, why do I say that is that one of these super tech projects we did a apartment which was the Armani apartment, and we did the windows over there. So I was always thinking that probably that came down.
Oh, no, no, no. That's not the one.
Okay, fine. So let's move on to the next question. So here we are talking about the features now. I mean, we started with the approach, then we went on to the factors. So now what we want to talk about is the features that you look at while you are selecting the doors and windows.
Sure. Um, okay. The first feature that we look at is durability. How durable the product is. Of course, is it less maintenance, high maintenance? How are we going to? I mean, so that's one thing. I mean, durability is something that we look at. Strength, durability, how long is going to last. That's the first thing that we look at, and the quality of the product and the technology that it uses. If, for example, it's a Delhi street or a Bombay street where we want sound insulation, or we want like a dust-free window, uh, that's something that we want to look at. So that's the features that we particularly look at, how we're designing the buildings. When it comes to a building that is in, so that's one, and of course the aesthetic features of the fenestration that we're using. Of course, as I told before, it totally depends upon the design, the concept that we're doing, but still how aesthetically, how I mean, one thing that I love about ALCOI is the slim sections. We
Hmm.
love those charcoal color, fittings, and I mean they look pretty slim. So that's something that I love about ALCOI. They're not fat. I mean, you get sections in a very different sizes. So that's another thing that we, kind of features that we look at.
Okay, great. Thank you for the compliment. So I'll kind of brief again for our viewers that what we are looking at here is that the durability aspect, and which I totally agree to. Why? Because in India we are coming from a background of using very thick wooden frames with grills. So durability, which automatically lends some kind of safety in the customer's mind. I mean, I think both the things go hand in hand. So Indian customer has always, I mean, with our experience, been very concerned about the safety of the window, because these days windows do not have grills. They want security glasses. The spans are very large. So I understand that safety is also kind of driven by the durability of the product. If the product itself is flimsy, then the safety cannot be guaranteed. So I think
Yeah,
durability and safety are the first things, and I agree to that. Second thing, definitely yes, maintenance. It's very important that, because when someone is constructing a house, he's not constructing it for a year or 2 or 5 years. And we as vendors are able to very, very clearly see the mindset of a builder versus a customer who's building it for himself. Because when a
Yeah.
customer comes here, he is looking for it at it for 25 years, because that's the average time period for which a customer builds a house. And he wants to he's ready to pay a little extra for the quality. He would look at the technology. Definitely he will look at how reliable the company is in terms of giving services and maintenance of the product. Considering these days, it's a dealer-based industry. Many companies keep on changing their brands, and suddenly when the customer who's used you finds that you are not doing the same brand, he feels a little discouraged, right?
Yeah.
Clearly seen that mindset. And when we see a builder, he starts with the price and he ends up with the price. He's not concerned. He just wants to use a product which he's able to sell just
Yeah.
in about 6 months to 1 year's time, and after that it's theirs. And it's, as I said, it just starts with the price and ends with the price. Although they will come asking us for quality, but they will be ready to kind of compromise on the quality if the price is not suitable. So they would just go for the cheaper brand. So I think that's very clearly visible, and that's why we end up dealing with mostly end customers. Why? Because somehow our quality is only accepted by them and somehow not by the builders. So I do see that stark difference. And yes, after durability, maintenance and servicing is one thing that I definitely also recommend for any viewer who's going to look at fenestration systems. I think technology, aesthetics, XYZ things, if you're talking about an engineered product, will be by default. You cannot have an
Yeah.
engineered product without adding a little bit of technology to it. I mean, not many people
Sure.
know that when you talk about aluminum systems, I'm not talking about ALCOI, but I'm talking about almost all of them which are available, which are worth their name. Most of them have to be screwless, because aluminum as a product cannot take a screw for long. Why? Because that's a different
Yeah.
material. When you say screwless, you have to apply your mind and technology to make the product. So I would say that
Yeah.
I would still stick to two top features, which is durability, which lends safety as well, and the second is maintenance. Okay, I'll move on to the last question, which I'm going to club. I have two more, but we have less time, so I'm going to club. So, how do you define effective fenestration? And also, what are the challenges that probably you as architects face, what are the current challenges in the fenestration industry?
Uh, okay. How do we define an effective fenestration? Is that one, that caters to the demand. I would say that's the effective. So it's like, as you said, earlier, it's critical that we understand what the customer wants. And, as architects or as designers or vendors, we are serving the customer. So we must, I mean, it's great when we understand what the customer wants, and we can, we can serve what they're demanding for. We are optimizing the window spaces that are available. We are not, adding multiple members, yet we achieve the strength that we want. So that's one. And the challenges that we are facing in the systems is, um, I mean, one, accessibility to all. Like the products that we are using, we are definitely replacing wood, and the quality of woods that were available before versus doing aluminum windows, there's definitely a cost figure that one has to go, to. And then there's a market that also wants to use a good product, but the cost of they
Very, very
can't
issue.
bear the cost. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
as you said, like dealers, I don't think they want to do like a bad thing, but the options that they have is so limited that they end up just choosing the one that they have.
Maybe.
So yeah, that's I think something that and of course, if we can also, do some technological improvements, so that's something that would,
Okay.
make it very great.
Add on I'll add on my inputs to that answer. Basically, when I talk about, I would say, how do you define an effective fenestration? What the architects expect is that we come across as architects, they basically want more of flexibility. Flexibility in the materials,
Yeah.
flexibility in the, I would say, typology, flexibility in the design of the system. So what happens is that if you go to one company, they are only offering one kind of a system, and the other systems
Sure.
are important, or they would do a slim, or they would do a classic. So I think what
Yeah.
architects want probably is a flexibility. Okay, one stop, I get what I want. So that's one thing that probably I've
Exactly.
come across. And the second thing that probably I think the industry, as vendors needs to work on is more sustainable products. Let's
Yeah.
take an example. I think time will come when we are already in the works for it, that thermal brake systems are gonna become more popular going forward. Why? Because they're sustainable products. They help you save electricity. They give you better kind of points when it comes to green buildings, etc. So these are the two aspects I feel that are very important for addressing from the vendor side, for architects to have to be more effective in their design. Because ultimately, when we talk about fenestration and effectiveness of fenestration, it is actually lending the effectiveness to the design that the architect is kind of creating. Or so what we feel is, to make it more effective, we need to work more upon flexibility for the architects, and at the same time making our products more sustainable. So that's my kind of input to probably what you answered. So
Oh, that's great.
great. So we've come to the end of the session, Parminder. I would still want you to kind of summarize up your last words on the present day's topic, right? Facade and fenestration project.
Um, so to sum up, I would say that of course, aluminium systems are the new systems, the new age era fenestration systems, and I think with the growing market and the growing demand, and of course the growing awareness, we are definitely going to see a lot of this happening in the future as well. And as you said in the last part, that when we can make it accessible to people, we can make it sustainable. We can definitely serve many and many people, more and more
Yeah.
people.
So I'd also like to comment on this, that let's take an example. You rightly said that, as of now, even if the price points are where they are, there are many people who still don't find them to be affordable. And you are rightly saying that. Why? Because although we may say that aluminum systems are, in India since 10 years now, or rather more than that. I mean, we've been here since 15 years. But having said that, the demand is increasing, but considering size of India, the volumes are not enough for the market forces to act to bring the material costs down at the end of the day, because
Yeah.
90% of the people who are operating in the market are fabricators. There are very few design companies which exist. So I think yes, with times to come, more volumes will bring in more technological advancement, and then we'll be able to kind of offer lower prices as well. It's the same thing as 10 years back or 15 years back. I had a debate with my friend that why does India does not have hydraulic brakes and hydraulic power steering system, because the purchasing power of Indian, truck drivers was not to buy such a, technologically advanced trucks for that matter. But today, 10 years hence, I think even Alto now has automatic transmission model, right? So I think it takes time, but I think another 10 years or 5 to 10 years, we'll definitely see a lot of improvement, as well as, or see, it will happen both ways. Purchasing power of the customer will go up. Technology will keep the price of the product there or bring it down, so the affordability will increase. So, rightly said that we definitely have a very great future in terms of engineered product. I'll not only say aluminum, but I think building material industry in itself, in entire India, requires a lots and lots of technological advancements the way it is today. Also in the processes and the systems, the way we work. So I am with you on that, and thank you very much for being with us, Parminder, today. It was great to have
Yeah.
you with us, and we welcome you to, visit our, I would say, premise any time in future. We would love to meet you in Delhi.
Sure, sure. And thank you so much for this conversation. It kind of, I think the job of a designer or an architect is not to really is definitely to make buildings, but I think it is more to educate people about what we are using and why we are using, so that people understand why we are doing. So I mean, it's great that you're doing these sessions and people are talking about it. It will help, people understand what we are doing.
Thank you,
So
thank
thank
you.
you.
Till it serves a purpose, it's all good.
Yeah.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Thanks.